Yo.
Yo.
What up, YouTube? We are back.
We plug guys coming, asking you to come along with us for another watch along.
Yeah, we had such a good time laughing, talking shit about what was happening yesterday. We figured we'd come back at you with another one. Except this time, we got Mr. Dub back.
Yes, sir.
We'll see how much of this nonsense could keep his attention today.
If any. All right, let's get right into it, huh?
Let's get right into Mr. I need a new fucking hairdo Raskin. Let that shit go, bro.
Everybody. Common sense.
It already left.
Misunderstanding of the First Amendment as it applies to public servants, cops, firefighters, teachers, everybody across the land.
If you don't get let's make foreheads great again.
My daughter, who I mentioned earlier, is a teacher.
He's making foreheads so great, he's got another one on the back of his head.
Right.
Teachers teach, but if they go off script and they start advocating totalitarianism, treason, or what have you, they're not living up to the duties of their office as teacher. They can be fired. Everybody knows.
The double-sided headbutt, swinging his head like a hammer, knocking everybody out.
And it happens all the time.
Call his forehead Mjolnir.
Including to cops and firefighters and people on the front lines. Happens all the time. In fact,
I was listening a little bit earlier. They were talking about
fired by President Trump.
They brought up the big Charlottesville lie.
Ideas about things, including on election fraud.
I guess there is a huge movement last night on Twitter to cancel Tucker because he brought up George Floyd's autopsy.
Yeah, and not only that, but they canceled Gina Carano from the Mandalorian completely.
They did cancel Gina. She, I was a big fan of her when she first got into the MMA game.
She's a smoke show.
What's up, Sharon? Speaking of smoke shows,
on a public office, who take on public employment.
She said, "Great, I've been so bored watching alone."
He said, "You can't ride with the cops, but
special
root
hello
for the
for
robbers."
Yeah, we were gonna jump on earlier, but we decided to fuck around on some video games, get the morale up.
Yeah, we were killing Nazis for a little while. Now we feel good about it.
Respecting election outcomes, our president, whoever he or she is, must choose.
Yeah, I've loved Gina Carano since she was a fucking fighter.
And not
then the American Gladiator, she was so fucking hot in that
anybody
show.
who's coming against us. And if
big fan, American Gladiators was great part of my childhood.
There's nothing in the First Amendment.
I just want to run the gauntlet once.
I wanted to operate those fucking tennis ball turrets, man. I think that was like my bucket list as a kid.
Yeah,
I just want to fucking take motherfuckers out with them turrets.
Let's play make believe.
That and then
we're just a run of the mill private citizen, as my colleague Mr. Nagu said. Just another
that and then the where they would fucking fight with those things standing up on those pillars.
Because we shouldn't know.
Oh yeah.
While there were thousands of people in that violent mob, they represent a tiny,
there were so many cool fucking
part of less than 1%
obstacles
of
with
the population
the Dodge dunk ball, where they just get wrecked by the gladiators.
Or you remember where they would go inside of those metal balls and like play like soccer with themselves?
Let's say that he were just another guy in the crowd.
American Gladiators was awesome.
It is
That's missing from our culture now.
That nobody
it's American fucking soy eaters.
First Amendment doesn't protect it.
But yeah, I was kind of sad yesterday to hear that they canceled Gina Carano.
There's no.
Yeah, then there was a counter movement. Then a cancel Disney Plus started trending immediately after the Gina Carano news broke.
Oh, I'm sure, and it's gonna hurt them too.
Based on the voluminous,
that's how they're surviving. You know, Disneyland and Disney World aren't making too much money right now.
But we're eager to hear our colleagues.
I wonder if they had any action figures being made of her.
That definition of proscribable speech fits.
They said last year they were planning on starting a new spinoff show starring her.
And you're not taking my word for it. The
canceled a woman.
Speech lawyers, Mr. Nagu mentioned, who include many of the nation's most dedicated, most uncompromising free speech advocates, unlike Mr. Trump, of course. But these people agree that there is a powerful case for conviction under the Brandenburg standard, even if the president of the United States were just
it's a good thing
like
Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire are starting to make their own action movies.
No defense to the article of impeachment leveled against.
Have you seen that movie yet, the Run, Hide, Fight?
No.
And I mentioned the Brandenburg standard not because it applies here. Of course, it doesn't. Since
it's not like
an impeachment. It's not a criminal trial.
You know what I mean?
And there's no risk of jail time. Let's be clear about that. The president doesn't go to jail for 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour, or 1 minute.
Yeah, no, it's a decent movie. I enjoyed it, but it's just not like a A-list blockbuster. You know what I mean?
Rather, I mention it to emphasize that
absolutely it's about like a school shooting
would be protected by the First Amendment.
Run, hide,
they
fight.
Did all the things that Donald Trump did. Nobody made
actually
Donald Trump
teaching
run
people
for
stuff.
president and swear an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution on January 20th, 2017. But when he did, by virtue of swearing that oath and entering this high office, he took upon himself a duty to affirmatively take care that our laws would be faithfully executed.
Of course he did. And then you guys got in his way at every
laws,
chance you got.
The laws against federal destruction of property, all of the laws. We expected him in everything he said and everything he did to protect and preserve and defend our constitutional system.
He tried.
Including the separation of powers. But instead,
can't do it alone.
He betrayed us. And as Representative Cheney said, it was the greatest betrayal of a presidential oath in the history of the United States of America.
Really?
Cheney
the greatest.
Said.
Really?
As I mentioned
I
yesterday,
remember Cheney's
WMDs,
but
the proverbial citizen who falsely shouts fire in a crowded theater. He is like the now proverbial municipal fire chief who incites a mob to go set the theater on fire and not only refuses to put out the fire,
worse than
the mob
not getting involved in World War II and letting 6 million people be exterminated.
We would hold that fire chief accountable. We would forbid him from that job ever again.
Worse than completely disacknowledging that China's got concentration camps right now?
Millions of citizens who can be
worse than the terrible things that we did on the people that lived in the Bikini Atoll when we were doing our nuclear testing in the South Pacific.
Just like the fire chief.
Cheney's memory must be going.
President Trump perverted his office by attacking the very Constitution he was sworn to uphold.
He's just not reading the same history.
That's one reason why this free speech rhetoric at this trial is so insidious. His conduct represented the most
if he's the most evil dictator that's ever lived on this planet, why would blocking him make him less dangerous?
We wouldn't have
you know what I mean? Would you want
if we didn't have the rule of law, peaceful transfer of power in a democracy where the outcome of the election is accepted by the candidate who lost. We had it all the way up until 2020.
You must agree.
And the central purposes of the First Amendment are
the
official narrative
and civic truth-seeking. Two purposes that President Trump sought to undermine, not advance, in the course of his conduct, as we have definitively demonstrated this trial. The violence he incited threatened all of our freedoms. It threatened the very constitutional order that protects free speech, due process, religious free exercise.
Let's not talk about the ones we've been taking away.
And the many other fundamental rights
that we all
treasure and cherish as citizens of the United States.
Let's talk about Donald Trump.
The First Amendment does not create some superpower immunity from impeachment for a president who attacks the Constitution in word and deed while rejecting the outcome of an election he happened to lose. If anything, President Trump's conduct was an assault
remember the old cartoon
Spy
vs. Spy?
And equal protection rights that millions of Americans exercised when they voted last year.
Spy vs. Spy in real life.
Take off your pins. Your laser tag weapon is under your seat.
The First Amendment protects the right of people to speak about the great issues of our day, to debate during elections.
Dan Crenshaw would be like, I've been waiting for this.
By selecting the people who will be our leaders. And remember,
flips up that eye patch to reveal his fucking laser eye.
Fucking X-ray vision.
Are nothing but the servants of the people. Nothing. Not the masters of the people. We have no kings here. We have no czars.
Not Cyclops, but Monoclops.
Here the people govern, President Ford said. The people. Most important words of the Constitution are the first three. We the people.
We the people would like you to accept the official narrative
if a president who dislikes election results can incite violence to try to replace
What's happening, Marlboro,
and
man?
usurp
Appreciate it, brother.
the will of the people.
We were playing some
as expressed
zombies
in the
earlier,
states. Ignore
trying to do the
judicial branch
Easter
of
egg, but I
government
suck, so that kind of
and
killed
then
us all.
run over the legislative branch of
So
government.
you guys gotta
with a
figure
mob.
out. You guys gotta
President
get a lot
Trump's
more
high crimes and
crystals, upgrade your
misdemeanors
perks, upgrade your
sought
weapons,
to
but we'll get there.
nullify
I don't even know what
the
any of that
political
means.
rights and sovereignty of
exactly.
the American people. Our right
Wes-
as a people to
I
deliberate,
showed Wes what's up. He's
form
getting it.
opinions,
I ain't
to
no
persuade
hippie.
each other,
Eating
to
crystals.
vote, and then to decide
Talking about
who
meth,
our
son.
president will be.
Oh shit.
The sovereignty of the people. That's an attack on the First Amendment.
House managers argue the First Amendment does not
In
protect the
addition,
president from advocating treason
President
and
Trump's
overthrow of
actions
American
We're a direct
democracy.
attack on our own freedom of speech here in the Capitol. Members of Congress are sent here
Yeah.
to speak for their constituents.
Advocating
That's why we
treason.
have
At
our
what
own
point
little
did he
mini
do that?
free speech clause, speech and
Advocating
debate clause.
treason. Well,
I've read a few
That's literally
articles,
our job. We come
people
here and
admitting
represent
to
the
their
freedoms of our
treasonous acts.
The attack that President
right.
Trump incited
can
forced
you
members
commit
of Congress
treason
to
as
stop
the
speaking,
president? I don't even
to
think that's
literally
possible.
flee for our lives and the lives of our staffs and our
Unless you
families.
like allow
The man whose statements and actions
CCP
halted
access to our
speech in
power
Congress,
grid, shit like that, right?
speech related
Yeah,
to the peaceful
yeah,
transfer
to
of
actually
power,
act against
has no
Americans,
right,
but everybody
no
else
right to
serves
claim
the
that free
president.
speech
You know what I
principles
mean?
prevent this body from
weird.
exercising its constitutional powers to hold him accountable for his offense
He
against
said all you need
us.
is the Howard 77 to get the 40 rounds easy.
You know, Voltaire said famously
Yeah.
in
I'm
our
an AUG man right now. The
Founders
AUG will
Note,
get me there.
I may
I
disagree
mean,
with everything you say,
if I
but I will
wasn't trying
defend
to
with
get
my
these
life the right
guys
to
up
say
and
it.
revive them,
President Trump says,
I'm good till 50.
because I disagree
Yeah,
with
I'm
what
trying
you
to keep
say,
these guys
I
in the
will
fight.
overturn
We
your
get it.
popular election and incite insurrection
Marlboro man don't know.
against the government. And we might take a moment to consider
Got a
another
reputation to
Voltaire
uphold
insight,
here.
which a high school teacher of mine told me when a student asked, when was the beginning of the Enlightenment? And she said, I think it was when Voltaire said, anyone who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit
Quit quoting
atrocities.
Voltaire.
Right? Why are you quoting Voltaire? Yeah,
There's no
fucking
merit
yesterday they were
whatsoever to
talking
any of
about
the free
rules in
speech rhetoric,
England
the empty
before the
free speech rhetoric you
revolution.
may hear from
It's like,
President
come on,
Trump's
bro.
lawyers.
We
He
fought a
attacked
whole
the
war
First
to
Amendment.
not give
He
a fuck
attacked
about
the
what England
Constitution.
says.
He
Like,
betrayed his
you'd
oath
have
of office.
a lot
The
more
presidents don't
effect if
have
you
any
quoted
right
Kanye.
to do that.
Yeah,
It's forbidden. So that our republic may survive. The people are
said he
far
has a
more
beast
important
blueprint on the
than that.
shotgun.
The precedent he asked you
I
to
believe
create,
it. I was fucking with
which would
the
allow
77
any future
when we were
president to do
playing last.
precisely what he did, is self-evidently dangerous. And so there can be no doubt, none at all, the president lacks any First Amendment excuse or defense or immunity. He incited
Any First
a violent
Amendment
insurrection
defense.
against our government. He must be convicted.
They're really trying to make fucking speech illegal now. Like literally with this.
Not only that, but they want to fucking be able to fucking
And now I'm gonna
go
pick
around the
Representative
president whenever
who
they
will
want.
explain why.
Yep.
Contrary to the president's
That the
claims,
president
House
is just
provided
basically
him
a
with all the
figurehead, just
process
literally a
due
fucking
him in
puppet.
this impeachment process.
There's no
I'm
there's
sorry,
no
and
more
Mr.
illusion.
Blue is going to do that.
What happened?
They're switching out to Ted Lieu.
Thank you for your time and your attention.
Ted Lieu King.
We all
I
heard
hate this
President
guy.
Trump's attorneys
I
on
fucking
Tuesday,
hate this guy.
and as part of President Trump's efforts,
He's the
to
one.
avoid
He's the
talking
one
about
that
his own
in
conduct,
Congress called
to avoid
Candace
talking
Owens a white
about
supremacist.
anything
Oh,
related to his constitutional
no.
crime. We expect
He's the one. Listen to
that
this.
President
Just
Trump
listen
will
in her own
raise
words how she
process
loves Hitler.
objections.
And
She's
she,
gonna be my
His
fucking
due
president.
process claims
Idiot.
or without merit.
Fuck this guy.
like,
Under
first of
the
all,
Constitution,
if anybody wants to know
the
about
House
what
has,
living while
quote,
being black
the
is,
sole
I can
power
tell
of
you.
impeachment. That provision confirms that the House functions as a grand jury or a prosecutor. The House decides whether to bring charges. Now, in other impeachment cases, the House has provided certain deliberative and procedural
Oh,
privileges
great. Now
to
Ted Lieu's up here telling us
person
about
being
all the
impeached.
rules they changed
But
to
those are
get
exactly
rid of
that,
Orange Man, even though
privileges.
Orange Man gone.
They are discretionary.
Yep.
The House has
None,
the
they
power
don't
to
know. None of
decide
these guys
its
know that
own
Orange Man gone.
how it wants to pass the article.
Orange
of
And if
Man
they get their shit together,
In
Orange
this
Man don't
case,
ever have to come
The
back.
House debated
But-
the article of impeachment.
Marlboro says, I'll tell you what
Passed
needs to happen with
on a
Congress.
bipartisan
Give it to us, Marlboro. What's your take?
I'm a former prosecutor. I just want to add that
Oh, I'm a former prosecutor.
I've had the
Imagine
opportunity to
that.
decide what is
Another lawyer.
And when you see a crime committed in plain view,
Marlboro says they only make the medium income of their state. Yeah, actually, Marlboro, me and Red were talking about that yesterday during the actual podcast.
In fact, hundreds of people have been arrested and charged by prosecutors for
I'm sure they'd find some new ingenuitive way to fuck people in other states then, you know what I mean?
Impeach the man at the very top.
It's a good idea. It's definitely worth exploring.
I also like to emphasize that the House had good reason to move quickly. This was
don't think about it. Just act.
This was not a case.
Let's do it as fast as possible before any information comes out. Like all the information that's come out since the 6th.
Yeah, he's definitely a prosecutor from California, all right.
So yeah, I was reading the paper,
the gravity of the president's conduct,
the accounts of the deaths, and there were 2 suicides afterwards, like days afterwards. There was one person had a heart attack and died, one person had a stroke and died. The one person collapsed during the rush, and the report was that they got trampled. You know, I was joking about the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, but apparently there's been no medical information that's came out about her either. So they don't even know if she might have died of natural causes. It just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's another stroke.
So it's turning out more and more and more. It's looking like the only person that died directly because of violence that day is Ashley Babbitt at the hands of the police.
Another point on the due process question. Earlier,
so that number they keep saying 7 is completely fabricated.
The House somehow deliberately delayed the transmission.
Only one of those people died because of actual violent protesting, and that was the person that died to the cops.
When the House adopted this article of impeachment on a bipartisan vote, we were ready to begin trial.
Yeah, they should definitely not get any other different healthcare options than we have.
And when we inquired as to our options,
that whole Obamacare thing where they were able to get their own insurance through the Senate instead of enrolling in Obamacare, that really made me angry.
The article of impeachment to the Secretary of the Senate before the Senate reconvened.
The rules even for us.
The clerk of the House would have been turned back.
He's writing laws. We don't follow them.
For me.
That's why the trial did not begin then. It's another reason why the president's objections
I totally agree.
Are meritless.
So, around what time does Mr. Leahy start dozing off? 4, 5:30?
Going to see and have seen a full
it depends on what time
by the House,
the little methamphetamine pills he's taking are wearing off.
President's attorneys, you're going to be able to ask questions. The Senate has the sole power to try all.
I think I wonder if he ever figured out what happened at the end of yesterday.
Any and all process that he is due. Right.
None of them do. I can't wait for somebody to try to use that fucking statement again. Dude's gonna stand up. What the fuck?
Yeah. Twitter was just making fun of Mike Lee because of how angry he got. He was like, apparently Mike Lee can't handle his aggression. And then they were like, he made himself a witness. Now he can't vote. And I was like, you fucking idiots. Every single person in that room is a witness.
Emphasize what should be an uncontroversial point. But it's really key to understand.
It's kind of the reason
none of them
why
should
they're
be allowed to
fucking
have any say for that very reason.
You know.
Then President Trump has indeed committed a high crime and misdemeanor under the Constitution.
High crime means felony, and misdemeanor means misdemeanor. So exactly which felony or misdemeanor did he commit, Mr. Forehead?
And dangerous offense against the Republic. Indeed, it is hard to think of a greater or more dangerous offense against the Republic than this. So, to be very precise about this, I hope we all
because you guys are precise as fuck.
That if a president does incite a violent insurrection against the government, he can be impeached for it. I hope we all can agree that that is a constitutional crime. Another key point. While President Trump's lawyers may be arguing otherwise, the question here is not whether President Trump committed a crime under the federal code or DC law or the law of any state. Impeachment does not result in criminal penalties.
What the fuck is he saying? We need to commit him on a crime, but we're not saying that he committed a crime at any level. What?
Centuries of history.
He just said that, right? We all heard that?
I heard that.
Structure and original intent and understanding all confirm the teaching of James Wilson, another framer who wrote that impeachments and offenses come not within the sphere of ordinary jurisprudence. Simply put, impeachment was created for a purpose separate and distinct from criminal punishment.
Exactly, because he was the president.
Prevent and
he can't be convicted of a crime as the president. But now that he's a private citizen,
but then commit
now just like now he can't be impeached.
Exactly.
That's a constitutional crime. And senators, what greater?
I think we should impeach George Bush.
It's nothing more than legal bribery.
Yeah,
I totally agree. But
our seat of government,
the answer to that, like, how do you actually make lobbying a crime is the question.
Where a crowd is poised
how
for
do
violence,
we effectively end it, not just make a rule that changes lobbyists, their game plans.
Can we get impeach fucking Bush and Cheney fucking trending?
These sacred walls and
like fuck
crash the place.
Yeah, right. Let's not even talk about the.
Let's just rewrite history. Al Gore was the president.
Let's just impeach every recent Republican president. And I say as a Republican.
And watch and delight.
Say Al Gore.
This is what we're doing. Let's do it.
Attack us.
Al Gore was president.
Violating a sacred oath and engaging in a profound dereliction and desertion of duty. How can we assure that our commander-in-chief will protect, preserve, and
that's all that's really happening right now, man?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who really deserted their duty? Because I saw a lot of video yesterday of you guys running out of the building.
I challenge you all to think about it. If you think this is not impeachable,
like actually deserting the Capitol.
President Trump's lawyers
that would have happened in the 1700s.
That his
it's no longer your capital.
Inciting these events was totally
exactly. Yeah.
And the Senate acquits Donald Trump. Then any
that would have happened in the 1700s. There would have been a rifle fucking rack right next to the coats.
Exactly.
If you don't find this a high crime and misdemeanor today, you have.
I wonder how many of them are wearing John Wick suits.
Terrible standard for presidential misconduct in the United States of America. The only real question
I agree, though, that lobbying should be a crime. There's lobbyists should not be in Washington.
Incited a violent insurrection against the government.
It's a more serious conversation about how to actually effectively make that happen.
Fact-intensive judgment, which is why we commend you all.
We've talked about it a bunch of times how Trump made it illegal, lobbyists illegal. And then it just turned everybody around him into lobbyists. His secretary became a lobbyist, his fucking coffee getter. His Diet Coke Little Red Button person was a lobbyist.
That Donald Trump's conduct encouraged violence. The violence was foreseeable, and he acted willfully in the actions that encouraged violence.
So here's the shit too. I was talking about this last night. So now they said that they knew that it was coming. That Donald Trump fucking premeditated that shit. So then where was the intelligence? And where were the fucking police force and the people there to do something about it? If everybody knew this was going to fucking happen.
Why were they caught so off guard if everybody knew?
Stayed up night after night
fucking complicity again.
All of the facts
they said that Christopher Wray, the FBI director, is going to testify in this impeachment for the first time that he's talked all year long since the election.
Because we love our country.
He might say that they knew something was going to happen, and then it's going to come down to, well, did you warn them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you tell anybody?
President Trump
who the fuck does this guy? He reminds me of somebody, and I can't put my finger on it. Besides the stereotypical black weatherman,
and that you should convict.
Who the fuck does this guy remind me?
And when he's finished, I will return
the mannerisms, everything.
Why it's dangerous for us to ignore this, and why
he just needs a mustache, and he'd beat every creepy high school teacher I ever had. Marlboro Man says, get rid of parties. It's nothing more than kids bickering anymore and is an old system. It's funny you say that because all those Republicans that they were talking about that dropped out of the Republican Party, the anti-Trump Republicans are all talking about starting a third party right now as well.
As my colleague,
well, it'd be like a fifth party.
It's been a long
right?
Really like a 10th.
I want to say,
as far as history goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even now, there's the Progressive Party, the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the Trump Party, And
the Tea
President
Party
Trump
split off the Libertarians.
as
yeah, and
lead
the
manager
Libertarians and the
Raskin
Greens. I mean, there's plenty of
mentioned.
parties at this point.
I hope, I
You just
trust
have to
that we
be
could
in
all
somebody's
agree
big tent.
that if a
You know what I
president
mean?
incites a violent insurrection against our
Some rich and
government,
powerful people have to have a way to manipulate your movements.
So what I'd like
for
to do is we
for their own,
close
their
our
own
case.
gains.
Trump was
is
never a
just walk you
Republican,
through
in
why
much
our
the same way
evidence
that Rand Paul
overwhelmingly
was never a
establishes
Republican.
that President
Which is
Trump
why
The same way
he
that
never
Bernie
should have tried to
Sanders
be a
was-
Republican once he
Now,
got
as you
into
consider
office.
Well,
that
yeah,
question,
exactly. But
that
I mean,
question,
everybody was
whether
working against
the
him. So
president incited
It's-
insurrection,
it's-
there are
He
it's
played
very
ball to
complex
his own
at that
demise.
point.
reasonably
the
complex.
point was that he won the office.
Was violence
Yeah,
foreseeable?
But I mean, I said it. I think
Did
a
he
couple
encourage
episodes ago that
violence?
he should have just been firing
Did
everybody
he act
until
Yep.
just
Until he
keep
found
fucking
one that
firing
would
them.
I'm gonna
stick.
show you
Exactly.
And then you
why
say, "Hey, yeah, like
answer
I
every
none of the,
one
all
of
of
these
these people are
questions
working against me."
has to
Be
be
honest. Honesty would have fucking got him a lot
First,
farther
let's
than
start
fucking
with
trying to,
foreseeability.
Yeah.
act like he's got everything under
Was
control
it
when obviously he
foreseeable
fucking.
that
He
violence
should have never
would
tried to
erupt
be a
on January
politician
6th
because he just isn't.
if President Trump lit a spark.
And this is exactly
it
why they're
predictable
vilifying him and going
That
after
the
him.
crowd at the
They
Save
do
America
not want you
rally
or me to
was
ever get
poised
that
on a
chance and ever
hair
be in that
trigger
position.
for violence.
Nope. Exactly.
That they
Just
would
like
fight,
when Jesse Ventura won the governor of Minnesota,
provoked
he got
to
called
do
into a meeting with the CIA and they
Of
asked him,
course it was.
"How'd you do that?"
When President Trump stood up,
Not because
to that
they really
podium
wanted to
on
know to see if he
January
did
6th,
anything
he
wrong,
knew
just to be able to
that
stop
many
that from
in
happening
that crowd
again.
were inflamed, were armed, were ready for violence.
Message.
It was an explosive situation, and he knew it. We've shown you the evidence.
My
on this
man
one.
says they
You've
need to
seen
work for the people, not party.
The images,
Somewhere that
the
has been
videos,
forgotten.
articles,
It's gang-like.
and the
Only
pattern
vote and help party and fuck what
show
makes sense.
that the violence on
Exactly.
that
It's all
terrible day
tribalism
was
now.
entirely
All
foreseeable.
of it.
We've showed you how this all began with the big lie,
But
the
the whole
claim
working
that
for the people
election
thing,
was rigged.
I don't
and that
know.
President Trump
That
and
might
his
just be
supporters were the
ideological,
victims
you
of
know
a
what I mean? It
massive
might not
fraud,
be practical.
a massive conspiracy to rip away their
Not
votes.
anymore, anyway.
You want to work for the
We've
people?
showed
Go
you
pick up some
how
trash.
President Trump
Yeah, right.
spread that lie, and how over the course of months,
People that really
with
want to
his
make
support
difference
and
usually do it
encouragement,
locally
it
first.
inflamed
And once you
part of
rise
his
up to the
base,
level of national attention, you're
resulting
fucking bought
in
and
death
paid for
threats,
usually.
real-world violence, and increasingly extreme calls to stop
More of
the
these
steal.
six-figure PowerPoint presentations.
We established that
Like if you're not willing to
he
coach a
lost
fucking
the
little league
election,
team and join the PTA,
the
then
president was willing to do
you know
just
what I
about
mean?
anything
You really shouldn't be talking
to
about running
prevent
for
the peaceful
senator or
transfer
governor.
of power. That he tried everything.
Some of them would love to get around those little boys and their balls and bats.
You'll recall the evidence on the screen.
Well, there's been some more breaking news on that front in
Him
the last fucking
pressuring
24
and
hours.
threatening state election officials, attacking them to the
And
point
with
of
the whole canceled
literally
Disney
calling
Plus,
them
Pasoga
It's like-
put people on blast, boy.
threatening at least one of them with
It's
criminal
like
penalties.
pedo fucking
Then
high-profile
attacking
pedo
senators,
cases
members
are
of
the
Congress,
new
all across the media,
police
pressuring the
killings
Justice
as far as
Department,
frequency.
prompting
Yeah, right.
outcries.
And we are getting one of
Assistant
those every
US
week, every
attorneys,
month.
not to
Now it's
mention
every fucking
his own
72
attorney
hours.
general,
Another high-profile pedo.
reportedly telling him that the stolen election
And let's
claims were,
fire Gina
quote,
Carano,
BS,
but hire
not
back fucking,
my
what's his
phrase.
name? Gunn.
Yeah,
And then,
one
as
of his
January
tweets
6th
talked about putting
approached,
Trump
he moved
supporters'
on
children
to
in wood
attacking
chippers.
his own vice president.
Oh, that was somebody else completely. That's what I mean. Pasobic was
Savage.
putting everybody on blast.
We
There was
recounted
a ex
throughout that entire period,
vice
all the
president
ways
of
in
Disney
which
was
President
charged
Trump
with
inflamed
pedophilia.
his supporters
There was
with
the
lies
Disney
that
World
the
manager
election
was charged
was
with
stolen.
pedophilia.
If Michael
Every
Eisner
single
caught
one of
any
us
charges.
knows nothing in this country is more sacred.
Put everybody on blast.
Nothing.
Let the people vote
Then
for
our
big
right to
bills.
vote.
Congress has proven to not be trustworthy to help
voice.
the average citizen.
And
See,
here
I
you
don't
have
trust that
the president
because
of the United States telling
the
his
states
supporters
Still mob rule.
that their
walk
voice
around handing
and
out
their
money for
rights
people's
as
votes on the big
Americans
bills, just the same, you know.
were being stolen
Yeah.
from them, ripped away.
I mean, give me a stack of money. I could walk around my neighborhood
made
and
them
talk a
angry.
bunch of people into a bunch of things.
Angry enough to stop the steal, to fight like hell to stop the steal.
That's why the republic, the representative that form of government, is
showed
the
you
best.
this.
It's, I mean,
You
the
saw
best as of yet.
The endless
Anyway,
tweets,
you know what I mean? It could always be better.
the rallies, the
Congress can run. Yeah.
encouraging,
No, I agree with
spreading that big lie.
Little shit. Exactly. There should.
You saw that
we
he
should
did
have
this over and over again with the same
a
message
huge
each time.
fucking downsizing
You
of the
must
federal
fight
government.
to win it back. You must never surrender, no matter what.
Give the power back to the states.
And remember,
At least some of it. You know what I mean?
each time that his supporters along the way showed violence,
We're going to show the motorcade again? The convoy?
encouraged it.
They're not showing any of the full footage, though. It's so
All
doctored.
part of that same demand to stop the steal and fight like hell. Remember the video that Manager Plaskett showed you from Texas? Some of his supporters encircling a bus of campaign workers on a highway.
You mean driving?
They're taking up a handicap
Easily could have
spot.
been killed.
Look at those sons of bitches. What the fuck are these
What did he
pictures?
do?
Photos without context. Got half a dude's face
He
there.
tweeted it.
What?
And made a joke about it at a rally. Called them patriots. Held them out as an example of what it means to stop the steal. When he told
Is it
his
open
supporters
carry?
to stop the steal,
Are both of
they
those
took
places
up
open
arms
carry? I know
to
Milwaukee, I
literally
believe it is, right?
intimidate officials to overturn
Because that was one of the
election
state
results.
capitals that
You
they were
saw the
protesting
evidence.
in, and everybody was like, they got
saw
guns
the
out there. It's like, no, it's open carry, man. Do
And
some
he
fucking
welcomed it.
research.
Yeah.
And when President Trump attacked Georgia's Secretary of State,
Were any of them charged with a
certifying the
fucking
results,
crime?
Right. What it did.
his supporters
did
sent death threats.
Donald Trump punch the
You
dude in
saw
the
those
face?
in great
'Cause
detail
he just
from
said he attacked
Manager
him.
Dean.
Well, don't you know everybody speaks for Donald Trump,
What did he do?
Except for Donald
He
Trump.
attacked
especially
the election
people with
officials
fucking Italian and Latin last names
when his supporters gathered
like
together
Fuentes,
You know,
to have a
Pizzoli, and
second
Pepe.
million MAGA rally. That's the rally that Manager Plaskett showed you. A rally about the stolen election. He tweeted that the fight had just begun.
I hope everybody
happened next?
realizes there are still
It's not rocket
Supreme
science.
Court cases
Fights
on the
broke
docket about
out. Stabbings.
the election.
Serious
Yeah,
violence.
actually, I shared a story last night that
Now, President Trump, like
let me
all of
bring
us,
it
he
up.
saw what happened.
it's from Georgia.
That rally.
One of the
saw-
is it Newsom is under investigation? One of them sons of bitches is
Oh no, that was Raphael
He
Warnock,
tweeted
the guy that
crazy.
yeah, Warnock.
Senate seat in Georgia, under an
And then-
investigation for
See it on
election.
the screen. He bought $50 million
Voter registration misconduct.
worth of
Yeah,
ads
voter registration
to further
misconduct
promote
because
his
of a
message
company that is run by
to
Stacey
those
Abrams.
exact same people.
Barbara Man says a little
He
humor. All the armed
immediately
forces have
joined
annual balls.
Forces with that
The Space
very
Force will
same
have
group.
space balls from here on out.
He joined forces with the same people that had
The
just
shorts be
erupted
with
into
you.
violence.
Right?
Space Force isn't a new thing though, man. We've had
Was it
these
obvious
different
that the
parts of
crowd
our fucking military
Yep.
for
poised
this
for violence?
fucking bases and mountains and
for it?
shit like that. We just gave it a name and brought it out to the
Absolutely.
forefront.
Yep. Unless you
And this
ask
isn't
Jen
just
Psaki,
clear, you know,
then she
looking
says
back
it's
in
the new
time. It
plane,
was
the plane
widely
of today.
recognized at the time.
Fucking idiot.
In the days leading up to January 6th, there were dozens,
Trying to coin a
hundreds of
tagline
warnings.
at the expense of
And he knew it.
military members.
He
you
knew
know?
the rally would explode if provoked. He knew all it would take is a slight push. Remember, you heard from Manager Plaskett, the chatter on social media, websites that the Trump administration monitored and were known to the Trump operation. It showed that the people he invited to the January 6th rally took this as a serious call to arms. That this was not just any attack. It was to storm the Capitol if necessary, to stop the
So
steal.
this dude Jethro in
And it wasn't just
Alabama
clear on these
saw
websites
Trump's tweets
the Trump administration
and
was
thought it was a personal
monitoring. And
invitation.
The FBI issued
to go
reports
try and
about
find
this
him.
incredible threat.
I
A
cordially
threat to
invite
target
you.
us. Law enforcement made 6 arrests that night before. 6 arrests. Newspapers across the city warned of the risk of the
And
violence.
again, though, man, like people think
There
fucking
can be
water
no
stains in
doubt
wood or on fucking
that the
stones
risk
are telling them
of
something.
violence was foreseeable.
Yeah.
And what did he do in the days leading up to the rally? Did he calm the situation? Ask yourself. I mean, did he call for peace? No. He didn't do that.
Is anybody calling for peace ever?
The most dangerous lie, as I
Has
mentioned,
anybody called for
Americans'
peace?
votes were being stolen, and that the final act of theft would occur here in the Capitol.
Yep.
And then he assembled all of those supporters. He invited them to an organized event on a specific day, at a specific time.
I guess political rallies are illegal now.
To coincide with the joint session
I'll
of
be right
Congress,
back.
to coincide with the steal that he had told them to stop by any and all means. Again, he was told by law enforcement and all over the news that these people were armed and ready for real violence.
So why didn't nobody told the Capitol Police?
He knew it perfectly well that he had created this power.
Why did nobody else know?
At his rally? He knew.
Doesn't seem like he knew because nobody fucking else knew.
That situation was. He knew there were people before him who had prepared, who were armed and armored. He knew they would jump to violence.
Were they talking about the Capitol Police that killed somebody that day?
From him that he needed them to fight.
They keep saying they were armed and armored. Like,
so one stun gun?
We all know what happened.
One stun gun.
Can we, like, receipts, please? Right on, Marlboro Man. Thanks for stopping in, bud.
Encourage the violence.
Always welcome.
Standing in that powder keg, did he light a match? Everyone knows the answer.
No, he doesn't smoke.
The hours of video you all have watched leave no doubt. Just remember what he said on January 6th.
You mean when he was still in the middle of his speech when they broke through?
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen. There's never been anything like this. It's a pure theft in American history. Everybody knows it. Make no mistake, this election was stolen from you, from me, and from the country.
Make no mistake.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. We must stop the steal. We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen. Not going to let it happen.
He says, I got to match his face and my ass. We're not going to let it happen.
You have to get your people to fight.
Lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Back our country with weakness.
And I'm going with you. We're going to the Capitol.
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
You may remember at the outset.
This guy talking, Mr. Joe
I told you
Negussi,
you'd hear three phrases.
He speaks with his hands way too
Big
often.
lie,
and it's
that the election had been stolen. Stop the steal.
There's a little fun fact.
Never concede.
Yeah, a little fun fact.
And fight like hell.
Look at all these hand actions.
To stop that steal. You heard those phrases throughout the course of this trial. Video after video.
He reminds me of somebody, man. I can't put my fucking hands on it. Is it
Bryant Gumbel?
To fight hard to stop the steal.
I don't know.
And on that day, that day,
Someone up at not Representative Joe Negussi, because nobody's heard of him before today.
He directed them here to Congress. He quite literally, at one part of that speech, pointed at us.
Can we see a map? Was he pointing in which direction was he pointing?
You're not going to have a country anymore.
Is it that, or is he pointing at AOC?
And here's the thing, that wasn't metaphorical.
Where's the video? You guys
Wasn't
got so much video,
rhetorical.
new video,
He'd
previously
already made it
unreleased
perfectly
evidence.
clear that when
There's a
he
whole lot
said
of
fight,
things
he
being
meant it.
said with no video
And that when
attached to it.
followers, in fact, fought, when they engaged in violence, that he'd praise and honor them as patriots.
Right, Magusta? That's what I'm talking about.
He implied
Welcome to the stream, Magusta.
that it was okay to break the law
Welcome.
because the
Look at
election
the hand
was
gestures. Look
being
at him.
stolen.
It's like his words aren't enough to
You
relay
heard
his points.
You remember
he's gotta
I
point
can't
at
stop
you.
staring at his
Manager
hands.
Dean
Fingers.
earlier in this trial.
He's
He
up there
told
the
them
entire
before it was
time
on the
like, what do
screen.
I do with my hands?
When you catch
Well,
somebody
actually,
in a
I mean, that's
fraud,
you might have a
you're
good
allowed to
observation
go by
there, because
very
it's like
different
what
rules.
magicians and shit do. Don't focus on
remember how all of his
You robotic
Oh,
pretty
is this
bad.
man speaking? Because I'm just so mesmerized by
supporters,
his
some of
hands.
his supporters
Right.
across social media were treating this as a war, talking about bringing in the cavalry.
Is he
Sleight of
knitting?
hand
President
right
Trump
now.
made clear what those different
I think he's a
rules
hand
were.
model on the side.
He'd been making it clear for months.
So
trying to be.
let's have trial by combat.
Fuck yeah.
And Rudy, you did a great job.
Nah, no, he didn't.
You know, in
He's
Seattle,
got guts. You know what? He's
combat
got guts.
mutually
Unlike a lot of people
agreed
in
to
the
combat
Republican
is
Party.
completely legal.
He's got guts. He fights.
That's why people dressing up like superheroes fighting crime before it got
His
completely
message
crazy over there.
was
I guess the
clear.
superheroes got overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it was
Even
understood
superheroes couldn't save
immediately.
Seattle.
Instantly.
Now they're
by his
shitting and
followers.
doing heroin on the street and completely
And we don't have to
legally.
guess. We don't have to guess as to
We're
how
trying
they
to stop them from
reacted.
burning
We
down
can
the federal
look
courthouses
at how
against the
people
law.
reacted to what he said. You saw them. And you saw the violence.
We wait and take orders from the president.
It's pretty simple.
Hey, you guys should have been too.
He said
Yeah,
it,
right.
and they did it. And we know this because they told us. They told us in real time
We wait and
during
take
the
orders
attack.
from
You
our
saw
president.
the affidavits, the interviews on social
Looks
media,
like a
on live
couple of
TV.
other
They were
companies
doing this
incited violence
for
here,
him
huh?
because he asked them to. And it wasn't just insurrectionists who confirmed this. Many, many people, including current and former officials, immediately recognized that the president had incited the crowd, that he alone was
They
capable
immediately
of
recognized.
stopping the violence, that he did this.
I almost
and he
can't
had
even listen to
call
him
it off
because of his
because
hands.
he was the
I
only
have to
one
like
who
look
could.
away to listen to what he's actually saying.
Let's see what Representative McCarthy, Representative Gallagher,
We are witnessing
Chris
the
Christie,
Banana Republic coup.
Representative
This fucking
Kinzinger,
clown's about to say.
and
Thought they were
Representative
hillbillies.
Hatfield had to say.
I could not be sadder or more disappointed.
Hey guys, I gotta go AFK. I'll be back in a bit.
People are getting hurt.
All right.
Anyone involved in this, if you're hearing me, hear me very loud and clear. This is not the American way.
Mr. President, you have got to stop this. You are the only person who can call this off.
So
Call it
another
off.
thing, one of the many things I guess that don't make sense on their side.
Caused this protest to occur.
Is there white privilege or is it what are they white trash?
It's not good enough.
Because they both don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Privileged white trash?
Leave the Capitol grounds.
The privileged
And
trailer
allow
park?
Congress to do their business.
Yeah, where's that at?
peacefully. And anything short of that is an abrogation of his responsibility.
You know, a guy that knows how to tweet very aggressively on Twitter, you know, puts out one of the weakest statements and one of the saddest days in American history.
The president's
Magusta says a little bit of both.
undeniable, both on social media ahead of January 6th and in his speech that day.
One of the
Deliberately
saddest statements on
promoted
the
racist
one of the
theories, creating a
biggest
combustible
tragedies.
environment of misinformation and
Does a day that will
While
live
the
in
president of
infamy
the United
really
States
sum it all
incites
up?
this attack without consequences
Get the fuck out of here.
is a direct threat to the future of this democracy.
Did the president encourage violence? Yes. No doubt that he did.
Are you inciting
question.
violence with all these karate chops in the air
Did the
right now?
president
Yes.
act willfully in his actions that encouraged violence?
He keeps
He's doing finger guns and shit. Are we allowed to do finger guns?
Well, let's look at the facts. He stood before an armed,
it's a black man with a gun right here, man.
Crowd known to be ready
right on the
for
floor of
violence.
Congress.
No cops coming to beat his ass.
And what did he do?
Maybe Biden did conquer racism.
He aimed them here. Told them to
all done.
fight like hell. And that's exactly what they did. And his conduct
Magusta said weakest
throughout
insurrection
the rest
ever.
of that terrible day really only
Sure seems like it.
that he acted willfully.
Weakest dictator.
Out and then engaged in a dereliction of duty while
Literally the worst dictator ever.
Worst dictator ever in history.
And again, we don't have to guess what he thought because he told
The
us.
only dictator in the history
Remember the
of
video
dictators that lost
he
an
released
election.
at 4:17 p.m.
Remember when he tried to buy Iceland or Greenland and they told him no,
Had an election.
and he said, okay.
Remember the tweet. that he
Remember
put
when
out
we
just a
still
couple
don't
hours later,
own
6:01
Greenland?
p.m. on January 6th. You've seen it many times.
You remember
see it on
peace
the
in the Middle East?
Right?
these
If he
are the
was a
things that
dictator,
happen
there would be no
when a
Canada
sacred
right now.
landslide election victory is so
Or Mexico. We wouldn't have built a wall. We would have took it and we would have put the wall on the south end of Mexico.
Yeah, there's no need for a wall. There's a
what he was
what is it? The St. Lawrence Canal.
Spreading
St.
We're
Lawrence.
making all our cars and our
and
cookies and
praising
shit in
the
Mexico.
mob
We need a wall down there.
us and our government. You heard Manager Cicilline describe reports. The president was delighted, enthusiastic, confused that others
Yeah,
didn't
his
share
arguments aren't
excitement
going over so
as
well
he
when you're
watched
not
the
looking
attack
at him with the hand
on
gestures.
TV.
It's just
Like
like
Dictator Trump
that works.
absolutely would have
Cared
got us
more
South
about
Texas.
pressing his efforts to overturn
All of Mexico
the
is just
election
South
than
Texas
he
now.
did about
Yep.
saving lives, our lives. Look at what President Trump did that day after the rally. It's important.
Or
did virtually
Donald Trump
nothing.
just renames Mexico Margaritaville.
We've seen, Manager Castro mentioned this, that when President Trump wants to stop something, he does so
he sends in the army. Oh wait,
easily.
Yeah, nope, he doesn't do that.
But aside from 4 tweets and a short clip during the over 5-hour-long attack,
right? Is he a dictator or did he do nothing? 'Cause I'm pretty sure
January
using
6th,
Twitter
he didn't
is not the
condemn the
hallmark of
attack.
dictatorship.
He didn't condemn the
It is these
attackers,
days because most of the
Yeah.
dictators are
didn't
still
say
on
that he
there
would
and
send
tweeting.
help
Right? The only
to
people that are
defend
allowed
us.
on Twitter are dictators now.
or defend law enforcement.
Yet another piece of evidence that Donald Trump is no
He didn't
dictator.
react to the violence with
He
shock
allowed
or
Twitter to
horror
ban him.
or dismay as we did. He didn't immediately rush to Twitter and demand in the clearest possible terms that the mob disperse, that they
No
stop
shit.
it, that they
In
retreat.
communist China, the government would have
Instead,
seized
he
Twitter
issued
and those
messages
servers.
in the afternoon that sided with
Twitter
them,
would have been owned by the government before the
the
end of the
insurrectionists
day.
who had left police officers battered and bloody.
All right.
How many
He reacted.
Ninja says how many
exactly the
violent
way
wars did
someone
Trump
would
get us
react
in?
if they were
Apparently
delighted.
just one
And
for a couple
exactly
hours on January 6th.
Unlike how a person
If you want to
would
listen to these
react
guys,
if they were angry at how their
Back.
followers were acting.
straight up war on our
Again,
democracy.
ask yourself how many lives would have been saved, how much pain and trauma would have been avoided
Yeah.
if he had reacted.
I remember when
the
Donald
way
Trump took
that a
the bait and
president of the
invaded
United
North Korea.
States is supposed to act.
Yeah.
I remember when
There are
Trump
2
fired
parts
Omarosa.
of President Trump's failure here.
Worst dictator
This
ever.
dereliction of duty that I just have to emphasize for a moment. First is what he did to Vice President Mike Pence.
I also remember when the millions
The
of
Vice
fucking white
President of
supremacists
the
in this
United States
country
of America.
rioted and
His own
burned
vice
half the
president
country down after
in this
Obama was elected president.
with an armed mob.
Do you remember those racists out in the street just destroying everything and
armed
attempted
mob
assassinations?
that set up gallows outside? You saw those pictures.
Such a racist land we live in.
How
And
could you
what
not?
did President Trump do? He attacked him more. He singled him out by name. It's honestly hard to fathom. Second,
is it really
our
though?
law enforcement.
Second,
the brave
that whole
officers
time was
who were
just
sacrificing their lives.
Right, that
to
was number
defend
one.
us, who could not evacuate or seek
No
cover
wonder they can't
because
get shit
they were
done in
protecting
Washington.
us. I'm not going to go through
Right.
again what my fellow managers showed you yesterday, but let me just say this.
I wonder
I'm
what
not
happened
gonna go
to
into
the
what
Those
we showed you
officers
yesterday.
serve us
Continue with his speech.
faithfully.
Even though that's all we've been doing
and
for
they
3
follow their
days now,
oaths.
is
Right.
showing
They
you
deserve
shit we
a
showed you the
president
first day.
who upholds his, who would not risk their lives and safety to retain power. A president who would preserve, protect, and
Yeah,
defend.
each of them have to get their turn to talk about the
That's not
5-minute
what we do.
videos.
Gina Pruitt says, "What a
When
bunch of
they,
drama
the
queens."
police,
Yeah,
still
for sure. They were
barricaded
definitely in drama,
and
the
being
drama club in
attacked
high school.
with
Every single
poles.
one of them.
Look at his hands gestures.
Right?
He
Look
said
at those hand gestures.
in his video to the people
He
attacking
might have
him,
studied
was
Adolf
Macbeth.
himself.
Right?
we love you.
More finger guns. Black guy
I
with
don't
finger
know.
guns.
Special.
I'm sure he took a stab at Hamilton.
What more desperately need to
Right?
know
He was a backup for Hamilton
about
in
President
Hamilton.
Trump's state of mind?
He was the
Look,
black
Wes,
guy in O.
Senators,
we were saying, look, Wes, there's a black guy on the floor of Congress, and
evidence
he
is
keeps
clear.
pulling out these finger guns. And he's
Show
not being
statements,
tackled by
Johnny, he's
security.
throwing up
videos,
gang signs. His gang banging out
affidavits.
there. It's
Yeah,
political.
you know he
discipline.
slipped a fork in there
President
somewhere.
Trump incited an
They
insurrection.
could just throw up the
An
phone.
insurrection that he alone had the power to stop. And
He
the
alone
fact
had the power to
that
stop.
he didn't stop it,
No.
the fact that
How
he
many times is
incited
he gonna
a
say this
lawless
shit?
attack
Right?
and
He's like
You
just
don't have the
repeating
power to
himself.
stop
to
talking.
defend
It's like the
us
Quiznos
from it,
commercial. They have
the
to tell
fact
you
that he
17
actually
times
further
in 30
inflamed
seconds
the
for you to
mob,
remember it.
further inflamed that mob.
I hate whenever a commercial like that, like
his
rapid
vice
fire
president,
says something over and
while
over. I
assassins
mute
were
that shit or change the
pursuing
channel
him
immediately.
in this
You ain't
case,
casting your spell on me,
more than
motherfucker.
requires conviction and
Out of
disqualification.
sight, out of mind.
We humbly
Gina Pruitt says, I'm interested to see
Humbly
the
ask
contrast
you
between defense testimonies and
convict
these stupid ones.
President Trump
Me too.
Oh, it was.
for the crime.
It's going to
for
be
which
good,
he
I
is
think. But I mean, it
overwhelmingly
shouldn't
guilty
take
of.
much.
Yeah.
Their whole case is those 3 words:
Because if
fight
you
like
don't,
hell.
Right? Their defense
if we
should just be,
pretend
they go up
this
to the
didn't happen,
stand and be like, y'all motherfuckers
or
are crazy.
worse,
And then go sit down.
let it go.
Hey, fuck it, let's just vote right now. Don't even say nothing. Let's just vote on this shit.
Who's
Get
to
it over
say
with.
All right,
it
the
won't
defense rest. You guys are all fucking insane. Like, hard R, please. And then sit down.
Show the tweets of the president saying "fight like hell," Omar saying
First of
"fight
all,
like
thank
hell."
you
Pretty
for
much
your
half the
close
people in those
attention
rooms.
and
Yeah.
serious
Show a couple
Biden.
tweets of them
purpose you
supporting
demonstrated
violence over
himself,
the
over the
summer.
last few
Raskin
days.
has
Thank you
tweets
also
saying
for
fight
your
like hell.
courtesy
Yeah,
to
oh,
the
he
House
does. Yes, he
managers
does.
as we've come over here, strangers in a strange land, to make our case before
Strangers
this
in a
distinguished
strange
and august
land, huh?
body. We are about to close, and I am proud that our managers have been
Strangers in a
so
strange land.
disciplined and so
You-
focused. I think
Wait,
we are
are we still
closing,
talking about
somewhere
politicians
between
in
5 and
Washington,
6
D.C.?
hours under the time that you have allotted to us.
Isn't that your natural
But we
habitat?
think we have been able to tell you everything we need to say. We will obviously have the opportunity
It's
to
not like
address
we sent you to
your questions
Myanmar and just
you,
dropped you off, buddy.
He says we didn't get a chance to say everything we wanted to say. Trust us, we have a lot more.
And
the fuck
again,
outta
I'm
here.
not going to re-traumatize you by going through the evidence. Once again, I just wanted to leave you with a few thoughts to consider as you enter upon this
AOC
very
almost died.
high and difficult duty that you have to render impartial justice in this case, as you have all
Magusta
sworn
says
to
this
do.
guy gives me heartburn.
And I wanted to start simply by saying that in the history of humanity, democracy is an extremely
Did anybody
rare
watch Seinfeld though?
and fragile and
You see the
precarious
episodes
and
where they were
transitory
making the
thing.
show,
Abraham Lincoln
and it's later in
knew
the
that when he
episodes, and they
spoke
were getting characters
from
to play.
the battlefield.
You know, finding the
and vowed
actors.
that
Yeah,
It's a
like
fucking
government
like
of the
Aldi
people,
Kramer.
by the
This guy
people,
looks like
for the
Aldi
people shall
Kramer.
not
Aldi
perish from the
Kramer.
earth. He was
He
speaking
looks like
not
the
long
fake
after
Kramer,
the
for
Republic
sure.
was created, and he was trying to prove that point, that we would not allow it to perish from the earth. For most of history, the norm has been
I
dictators,
can't stop staring at his hair.
autocrats, bullies.
I'm trying to get a glimpse of that Harry Potter face on the back of his head.
Cowards who take
Motherfuckers,
over.
He's smuggling he who must not be named. Just staring at fucking Leahy right now.
Right.
That's why Leahy's fucking hypnotized.
This motherfucker look like an 1800 monk and shit.
Principles of
Right.
Tibet or some
Put
shit.
some oil on that bitch. It'd be like the bat signal.
And the consent of the governed.
Nigga got a hair
and the
halo.
fundamental equality of all of us.
Jesus.
Everybody in Washington
off.
has
Lincoln
like
said,
question mark hair west, like
government
Anderson
of the
Cooper.
people, by the people, and for the people. And he harkened back to the Declaration.
Yeah, we were talking
of
about
Independence,
Anderson
which was
Cooper's hair last night.
7 years ago.
It's like he's
he
got
knew that
gills
that
on the
wasn't
side of his
how
head.
we
You got like
started.
just seed patches of his
We
scalp.
started imperfectly. We started as a slave republic. Lincoln knew that.
Does it do with the glasses or
But he
the
was
white hair?
struggling to make the country better. And however flawed the
yesterday we were
founders
talking
were
about it.
as men
We were
in their
laughing.
times, they inscribed in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution all the beautiful principles that we needed to open America up.
Magusta says, "You mean
Successive
lack of hair?"
waves of political struggle and constitutional change
Can't really talk about
and
his hair.
transformation in the country.
I stand
So we really
corrected.
would become something much more like Lincoln's beautiful vision of government.
We're
of the
so shallow.
by the people and for the people.
Sitting
The
here
world's
judging these people by the
greatest
way they look.
multiracial, multi-religious,
How dare we.
multi-ethnic,
Right.
constitutional
How dare us.
democracy, the envy of the world.
The audacity.
As Tom Paine said,
Magusta
asylum
says
for
Anderson
humanity,
Cooper is an android.
where people would come. Think about the preamble.
Yeah, the kind from
Those
Aliens.
first three words, pregnant with such meaning. We the people.
Yeah, the android
then-
from Alien.
Yep.
All of
with
the
the white
purposes
blood.
of our government
Uh-huh.
put into that one
Them motherfuckers are synthetic.
action-packed sentence. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility,
No, he ain't
provide
real.
for the common defense, promote the general
He ain't
welfare,
real.
and preserve to ourselves and our posterity
Posterity.
Oh.
the blessings of the
Hanging out with fucking Biden or what? What the
Yeah, I
fuck's
caught
And then,
posterity?
right after that first sentence, the mission statement for American the
Prosterily,
Constitution.
sterily. Life is but a dream.
Article 1. The Congress is created. All legislative powers herein are reserved to the Congress of the United States. You see what just happened? The sovereign power of the people to launch the country and create the Constitution flowed right into Congress. And then you get in Article
He
1,
says,
Section
"Did you
8,
see what just happened?"
comprehensive, vast powers that all of you know so well. The power to regulate
What the fuck is he
commerce
talking
domestically,
about?
internationally. The power to declare war.
This nigga need a
The
hat.
power to raise
Well, I'm
budgets
sure he's got a
and
yarmulke
taxes,
somewhere around there.
spend
Yeah, I don't think
money,
you
the
could wear
power to
hats in
govern
Congress.
the seat of government, and on and on and on.
What'd you
And
say,
then even in Article
Liz?
1, Section 8, Clause
I
18,
said, I don't think you
and
could wear
all
hats
other
in Congress.
powers necessary
Not-
and
not
for
for
the
long.
execution of the foregoing powers.
You know, Kamala, she might relax that because she might need a snapback to match her Tim's one day.
Paragraphs. And the
Sharon
paragraph
here
is all
says, "I
about
think
what?
Raskin
Impeachment.
uses Popeil's
How
hair
you get
color
rid
spray.
of a
That
president
stuff
who
is
commits
darker in some
high
areas."
crimes and misdemeanors.
The
What's
puff can
core
like
job
Rudy
of the
Giuliani.
president? To take care that the laws
Little
are
puff
faithfully
hair.
executed.
The old Carlos Boozer.
It looks like he's wearing a
And our
hairnet if
framers
you
were so
check out that
fearful
left side of his lining right
presidents
there, right?
becoming
Right.
tyrants,
I think all of his hair
kings
starts
and
on the left
despots.
side of his
They
head. Like
put
he
the
only
oath
has
of
hair on that
office
patch around
right
his ear,
into
and
the
then he just
Constitution.
moves it
They
They
got
to
lunch
inscribed
with
it
hair?
super
into
long.
the Constitution.
It's
To
like those
preserve,
sketch pads,
protect,
like the
and
magnetic
defend
strips and shit.
The
Yeah,
Constitution
yeah.
of the United States.
He's just got magnets implanted in his dome.
That pin,
We've
the
got the
pin's
power to
pulling his
impeach
hair
the
down.
president. The president doesn't have the power to
Like
impeach
someone's
us.
pervy uncle.
Think about that.
Definitely looks like someone's
The
pervy
popular
uncle.
branch of government has the
Definitely.
power to impeach the president. The president does not have the power to impeach us.
He's the kind that
And
sits
as
at
I
the
said
dinner
before,
table with one hand on the
all of
table
us who
when
aspire to
everybody
obtain
else got
public
two
office
hands
are
above
nothing
the
but the
table.
servants of the
If you know
people.
what I mean.
And the way the framers would have it,
he's
is the
the
moment
opposite of
that
old
we
boy.
no longer act
Yeah,
as
right.
servants of the people, but as masters of the people, as violators of the people's rights. That
They
was
probably
the time
planned that shit.
to
He's like, my argument's weaker,
impeach,
so I'm going to use my
remove,
hands a lot.
convict, disqualify, start all over again, because the interests of the people are so much greater than the interests of one person. Any one person, even the greatest person in the country, the interests of
no, the Constitution says the individual above the community, buddy.
Now, when we
that's your problem.
Sit down,
that's the motherfucking problem.
It is.
Our distinguished counterparts, the defense counsel, who have waited very patiently.
Nothing is bigger than the individual.
Will stand up and seek to defend the president's conduct.
When
on the
when all of basically when
they will.
The group as a whole is put at the forefront, the individuals get fucking left out. But if each individual is doing good, the group as a whole is fucking doing great.
Right, and there's no limit to how much better you can
jurisdictional,
do.
Constitutional issue to bed.
I thought this was settled science.
It's already been voted on. This is a trial on the facts.
How many times have we said that in the last fucking year?
Incitement, as we said.
CDC came out yesterday and said 2 masks definitely do help.
Each of you will have
one cloth and one hospital.
We've made our very best
because
effort
the cloth one will push down the
single
hospital one and
fact that we
seal
know
better.
in the most objective and honest light.
So they say.
We trust and we hope that the defense will understand the constitutional gravity and solemnity of this trial.
The government's going to start issuing bubbles, bro. Those bubbles that they were putting those people in
to the
the
constitutional
concert.
argument that's already
The
been
flaming
decided
lips at a concert where everyone had their own bubble.
Just as a defense lawyer who loses a motion to dismiss,
It's going to be like that American
on a constitutional
Gladiators game,
basis,
except
in a
plastic
criminal
bubbles.
case, must let that go and then focus on the facts.
We'll get Buzz
which are
Lightyear
being
helmets.
presented by the prosecutors in
Be
detail.
looking like
They must
Mysterio.
let this constitutional jurisdictional argument go. Not just because it's frivolous and wrong, as nearly
That's definitely
every
where it's
expert
going, but
scholar
I mean,
in America
they're
opined,
finally busting
because
out
it's
the air
not
taxis for these
relevant
rich
to
fucks.
the jury's
So
consideration
not
of
only
the
do they
facts
not
of the
even have to come down to the ground where we
So our
peasants are
friends
anymore.
must work to
If they do
answer
have to be
all
near
of
us,
the
they don't even want to
overwhelming,
breathe the same fucking air as
detailed,
us.
specific,
Shows you how much these rich and
factual,
powerful people
documentary
fucking think of
evidence we
us.
have introduced
The elites
of
are
the
all going to live
president's
on a
clear and
space
overwhelming
station soon.
guilt in
Oh,
inciting,
they already have their
violent
high
insurrection
rises and shit. They'll just get
against the union.
scooped up off their balcony.
Donald Trump last week turned down our
Sharon says, I
invitation
figured out who
to
Raskin
come
reminds
testify
me
about
of.
his
Woody
actions,
Allen.
and therefore we've not been able to ask him any questions directly as of this point. Therefore, during the course of their 16-hour allotted presentation, we would pose these preliminary questions to his lawyers, which I think are on everyone's minds right now, in which we would have asked Mr. Trump himself if he had chosen to come and testify about his actions and inactions.
Well, all you guys are prosecutors, man. How often do you guys actually get the accused on the bench?
Trump not
That
tell
shit don't
his
happen
supporters
anymore.
To stop the attack on the Capitol as soon as he learned of it. Why did President Trump do nothing to stop the attack for at least 2 hours after the attack began?
What do you want him to do, man? You want him to put on riot gear and get in the fucking
As our
scrum?
constitutional commander-in-chief, why did he do nothing to send help to our overwhelmed
Why didn't he call in the
besieged
Trump
law
busters?
enforcement officers for at least 2 hours on January 16th
Why didn't he send any
after
help?
the attack began?
Magusta
January
said
6th,
Red's
why did
audio
President
keeps
Trump
going
not
in
at
and
any
out.
point that day condemn the violent
I stepped
insurrection?
a little bit away. I'm back. Is that better?
And I'll add a legal question that I hope his distinguished counsel will address. If a president did invite a violent insurrection against our government, as of course we allege and think we've proven in this case, but just in
You
general,
think so? You think
if
so?
the president incited a violent insurrection,
He reminds
against our
me of the
government,
Fed from
would that be a high
Transformers.
crime and misdemeanor? Can we all agree at least on that?
You know what I'm talking about, huh?
John
what the fuck is his name?
That's
Because I believe that's all you need to arrive at the right answer.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Yep, very, very sneaky, sir.
When
Again.
common sense,
Magusta said
pamphlet
he
that
sounds
launched
like
the
the
American
aliens from
Revolution
Mel Gibson's Signs movie.
said that common sense really meant two different things. One, common sense is the understanding that we all have without advanced learning.
Isn't
and
dude
education.
also
Common
the
sense
Jesus and the fucking
is the sense
Lebowski?
accessible to everybody, but common
Yeah.
sense
Is that a different guy? That is the
also
Jesus?
I
the
think so,
sense
yeah.
that we all have in
Lebowski.
common
Nobody fucks with the Jesus, man.
as a community.
Yeah, that's who he reminds me of.
Senators, America, we need to exercise our common sense
Very, very sneaky.
about what happened.
Very sneaky.
Let's
I
not
think you underestimate my sneakiness.
Outlandish lawyers' theories here. Exercise your common sense about what just took place in our country.
Yeah,
Tom
you got
Paine
caught on
wasn't
the
an
fucking
American,
shitter.
as you know, but he came over to help us.
The Capitol Police got caught with their pants
In our
down.
great
That's what we should
revolutionary
be
struggle against the
reflecting
kings
on.
and queens and the
Why and how?
They're lucky it wasn't LeBron and his boys.
1776 in the
For real.
crisis, he wrote these beautiful words. It was a
Definitely
very tough
lucky
time
it
for the
wasn't
country.
Z.
People didn't know which way things were going to go. Were we going to win? Against all hope? Because for most of the rest of human history, it had been the kings and the queens and the tyrants
Shit,
and the
they're
nobles
lucky I wasn't there.
lording it over the common
They'd still
people.
be occupying that fucking place
Political
if I was there.
work.
All right, everybody sit the fuck down.
Crisis. In it,
Why
he
does
said
this
these
guy
beautiful
keep
words. And with your
invoking the
permission, I'm gonna
lords and the
update the
nobles
language
and
a little
the
bit pursuant
the
to suggestions of
dictators and
Speaker
the
Pelosi,
despots? Like,
so as not to offend modern sensibilities.
does he not realize why
But he
we
said,
fought the Revolutionary War?
These are the times
Does
that
he
try
not
men and
realize
women's
what the
souls.
Constitution actually did?
These are the times that try men and women's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot.
Are we about to get the
will
Winter
shrink at
Soldier?
this moment from the
Are they
service
about
of
to
their
unveil
cause
the
and our
Winter
country.
Soldier on our ass?
But
Dark
everyone
Winter
who
Soldier.
stands with us now will win the love and the favor and the affection of every
They're gonna-
man
they're
and
gonna
every
make him
woman
black?
for all time. Tyranny like hell is not we have this
A Black
saving
Winter
consolation.
Soldier? I
The
mean,
more
I could
difficult
dig
the
it, but
struggle, the more glorious
Is
in
he
the
gonna have like Snoop Dogg perm hair? Or are they gonna fucking give the man a fade?
it's gonna be the guy with the hands.
Like you gonna have that DJ Quick perm.
Thank you.
He's gonna have the soul glow.
Thank you.
Just
Now I have two. We're going to do the adjournment resolution. In a
Oh
moment.
man, they're
I
making
have
a sequel to that movie, dude.
other
It's gonna be
things
so
that we have
fucking
to
good. I
do.
can't wait.
They're quick.
I hope
First,
it's
Mr.
good.
President, I ask
hope
unanimous
it's
consent
It
that it be
it
in
has
order,
to be.
to make
They're
several
getting fucking
unanimous
almost
consent
everybody back.
requests as if in legislative
I know,
session.
I know.
The objection's ordered.
I ask unanimous consent that on Friday,
Yeah, it
February
has-
12th,
no, yeah, it
from
has to
10:30
be
to
good,
11:30
but
a.m.,
we'll
that
see.
notwithstanding adjournment, the Senate be able to receive House
I'm
messages
50-50 right
and
now on
executive
that.
matters. Committees be authorized to report legislative and executive matters, and senators
He's like,
be allowed to submit
we kind of
statements
got
for the
other
record,
things to do,
introduce
so
bills and resolutions.
Hey Schumer,
and
why'd
make
YouTube
co-sponsor
take down my
requests,
my
and
video
where
of that
applicable,
gypsy fucking
the
putting you in your
Secretary of the
place?
Senate, on behalf of the presiding
Did you do that?
officer, be
Did you
permitted
do that,
to
Schumi?
refer such matters.
The objection's allowed.
What?
Right? Is
We didn't fix this from
The
yesterday?
second request,
is he
poignantly
saying
appropriate
words under
at
that
this
mask?
moment. I ask unanimous consent that pursuant to the order of the Senate.
Why does only the help have
January
to have
24th,
masks on?
1901, the traditional reading of Washington's farewell address take place on
Can the
Monday,
COVID not enter your
February
ears?
22nd,
I mean, should we not be
following
wearing
the
earbuffs
prayer-
as well?
prayer and pledge. Further, that Senator Portman
Because the cold and the
be
flu will get in
recognized
your
to
ears.
deliver the address.
It's why you got to wear hats and
Objection,
shit.
not hearing
Yeah, you got to
objection.
cover all your
It's
orifices.
ordered.
And finally, Mr. President,
Don't
I
you
ask
know to
unanimous
cover your
consent that
hole?
trial adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow, Friday, February 12th, and this also constitute the adjournment of the Senate.
Hearing an objection, without objection, it's ordered.
Yeah, they're cutting it till tomorrow.
Says
Yep.
adjourned.
They're like, all right, we're done. I think so I think tomorrow should be the actual defense argument. That should be super interesting.
House impeachment managers have concluded their case against former President
That was underwhelming.
Donald Trump in the impeachment trial.
I was hoping for
ending
some defense today.
5 hours earlier than
Nah.
the 16 hours they had allotted to them. Here on
5 hours
C-SPAN
early.
2, as the
They
trial
only
wraps up for
crammed
today, we'll
those
open up our phone lines
videos
and
over
hear
and
from
over
you
again into
as the House
11
managers
hours. Hold on. Please don't fuck me up. Nope. All right, we're back. Cool. Ninja says they want to waste more of our money. Exactly. Exactly. This is all a complete waste. They already 40 fucking, was it 44 senators voted that it was unconstitutional? So I don't understand how they think that they could flip these senators from thinking it's an unconstitutional trial to saying he's guilty at trial. You know what I mean? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Anything to delay those $1,400 checks, at least 1 month.
Anything to keep the focus off of the current president.
That too. But everybody's still attacking Gone Man. You can't focus on what fucking Biden isn't doing.
Or the things that he is doing that he lied about not doing. Augusta said, and scene. Exactly. It is just a fucking movie. It's a show. That's all it is. It's a show. Putting up a good front. Watch over here because we're going to be doing stuff back there. We don't need you back there.
Keep your eyes on my hands.
On my forehead.
Watch my feet, not my hands. Watch my feet, not my hands.
Well, I think that'll conclude our watch along for the day. We don't want to cover too much shit because we're going to do our regular podcast tomorrow. This is just an extra for y'all. We missed a good chunk of it yesterday and a little chunk of it today, but
it really was just the same shit over and over again.
Right, exactly. We didn't need to see those videos for the 8th and 9th time anyway in 2 days. I'm really interested to see what they do in the defense tomorrow. See which way they go with it. Hopefully the showing guy does most of the talking because the other guy, Castor, was a bum in the first day. But the showing guy needs to be less long-winded because in his opening remarks, they were like, I just got a couple things to say. And then 7 hours later, they were like, all right.
They got to show everybody using the bad 3 words, but I wonder how much voter fraud evidence are they going to show? Like, so when he says stolen election, what he's talking about is we found all these votes and he only lost by these votes, or this guy under investigation, or these votes are still up in the air.
I don't know.
I wonder if we're going to get any of that.
I don't think they're going to talk about any of that at all. I think the defense is that he never incited violence with his actual words. They just interpreted it that way, and interpretation is not a part of inciting violence. It has to be actual, distinct calls for violence.
That's really what is on trial here is free speech and interpretation.
Exactly. It's thought police shit. It's the beginning of the thought police. Cryptic Ninja said, I think I just chunked in my pants. Grow up, Ninja. Sharon says, yeah, they opened the floodgates, if you ask me. I mean, they could. They very well could have opened the floodgates, and they could talk about anything they want in the defense, but it's like, how succinct do you want your defense to be? You know what I mean? That was kind of the problem.
You got 16 hours. Yeah. I mean, these guys couldn't go 1 hour without repeating themselves. So, I mean, they should be able to get into something at least by hour 10, you know?
Right.
It shouldn't be that hard to fucking prove that he didn't incite violence. Also, that if those 3 words are inciting violence, then we got to impeach and lock up all these motherfuckers as well. And it's done. That case, you know, that part of it's done.
Yeah. What kind of, I know we've talked about it till we were blue in the face, but what kind of precedent does it set for the next time that somebody does have 2/3 of the Senate? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like at any point in the future, if any party has 2/3 of the Senate, they're going to be impeaching the entire term.
But if it's the other way, though, if the 2/3 have their fucking president, it's going to be exactly what we see here: 53 executive orders and 0 laws through the Senate or Congress.
Which is,
you know, they just have their own little TV show going on right now, and
yeah,
that's it.
Congress doesn't have to do anything. Biden's going to do it all with the pen, so they could just focus on whatever they need to do to send Orange Man to prison, I guess.
Yep. At your dime.
Exactly. You remember all the money that we've been wasting and how they've been printing money? They printed 40% of the world's money in the last 12 months. Anybody remember that?
I remember you saying something about that.
I do. I still fucking can't believe it. It is unreal. That's probably the craziest, most shocking thing I've fucking read or seen this year for sure.
Right.
And you try to tell somebody that you probably think it's a fucking conspiracy, that there's no way it could be fucking true. The trillions that they've just printed out of nothing.
Right. And what do they think this next COVID relief bill it's supposed to give people $1,400? Where do they think that money's coming from? Do they think that
they're not taking gold fucking picture frames out of the White House and out of the Capitol to melt down to back that money? I'll tell you that.
Right. That people think that fucking the government just has a bank account with trillions of dollars sitting in it for some reason.
Yeah, because the U.S. is so profitable.
Yeah. In all actuality, if there was a bank account, the bank would be calling like, you guys are way overdrawn.
There is a bank account,
yeah,
and we are way behind.
Right, way overdrawn. The fines alone would send you know what I mean? If it was a person, like one person, the fines would send you.
Well, I mean, it sort of is that way. I mean, only a few creditors, all they really have to do is tell us that they, that it's time to collect. They can embargo the fuck out of us like we try to do everybody else. I mean, really, but who's gonna stop the money train? Because even though they're owed a lot more money, they're still making a shit ton in the meantime. If you make that move, then everything's cut, and you're probably it's probably war, and all payments cease at that point,
Yep.
So everybody's just gonna keep the money train rolling.
So
let the debt pile up.
All roads lead to inflation and war.
Yes, sir.
Without a doubt.
So listen to this podcast while you can.
Yeah, while we still haven't been black bagged.
Right.
Apparently, Project Veritas got the bag today at Twitter.
Yeah, we'll never be allowed to get that big on Twitter.
Never. Twitter's a thing of the past. The CIA has pumped as much as they could out of Twitter. Now they don't care anymore. Now they're just using it as a tool for division. Like we were talking about before the stream started, if any corporation lost $1.2 billion last year and we're celebrating it, you know what I mean? People would be suiciding, jumping off the top of buildings. You know what I mean? But
people try to say that, that Trump's businesses were losing money along those lines, and he was a failure. Now Twitter is a great success, losing $1 billion.
Right? They stood for something, and they lost their fucking shareholders $1.2 billion, and they're partying because of it. Like if I had a company and it lost $1.2 billion and my employees were celebrating it, I'd be firing everybody and looking for new employees.
Right.
That $1 billion, that was y'all shit.
Yeah, right. It's coming directly out of your pay for the next 100 years.
401ks? What's that?
Right?
Yep.
Ninja says I only use Twitter to enter contests to win shit. Yeah, I made it on Twitter for about 5 days, Ninja, and then I got the black bag. They didn't even suspend me. They just fucking deleted my account immediately. No warning, no nothing. Didn't even tell me why, actually. I think I have a pretty good idea why, but let's not talk about that here. I don't want to get black bagged off YouTube too. Yeah, exactly. We want this to stick around for a while. Not yet banned.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of this defense. and seeing how they chew through these doctored fucking videos and how many other statements they found to be false or misleading.
Here's a hypothetical for you. What if his lawyers now are setting him up just the same? What if they fucking bomb this defense?
I mean, he's had to switch lawyers a few times. He had one dude, drop off just a week or two ago, right before this shit started.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like, why wouldn't you just send shitty lawyers in there knowing you have the numbers already? Save the money.
No, but because you'll never have a chance to get any of your evidence. If you've got he has plenty of fucking evidence for a lot of different fucking things, but if you don't take this chance to get this shit out here, you're risking never getting another one. Should use every second he has, because it might be all he has, or at least take this time to show why they've been censoring him.
Yeah.
Definitely shouldn't let an opportunity pass.
Part of me
because he let his whole presidency fucking pass.
Part of me thinks that all they're going to do is argue the legal definition of inciting violence, and you know what I mean, the actual charge that is not true.
That sounds like, was that Rudy's strategy, or is this the opposite of Rudy's strategy? This sounds like Rudy's. Like, yeah, you should definitely do that, but that should not be your whole case.
Yeah, part of me feels like that's going to be the entire case. I hope they go piece by piece through the prosecution and just destroy it, and then
or
add to it at the end with their proof.
Go through the actual timeline of where the people were as far as breaking into the Capitol when he was still on stage in his speech, and what words have been said, what words haven't been said. Go through the whole actual timeline. Have video of him on stage as the Capitol shit is happening at the same time, time stamped.
Yep.
I want the fucking audio tape. I said it yesterday that I want the Capitol Police fucking walkie, the radios. I want that shit subpoenaed and audio or time stamped as well.
Yep. Yeah. Where did the stand down orders come from? Exactly. When did they call for help? When did they know they were overrun?
Mm-hmm. And that whole Ashley Babbitt fucking situation definitely needs to be under the magnifying glass with those radios. Exactly. Why did those cops move off those doors? Who told them to move?
Especially since that's the only person that died to violence directly related to that day. The only person.
You think we'll ever find out who? At this point, I don't think we're ever gonna find out who fired that shot.
No, hell no.
No, I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Unsolved mysteries.
Unless one of these journalists get in there and get at it. But I don't know. Who knows? I mean, her court case might show us. It depends.
Imagine
it publicize it, or if they come to a agreement before it gets to trial.
An undisclosed settlement and pay out her fucking husband, and that's that.
Right. Exactly.
Imagine, if you will, a citizen could be executed in the Capitol around hundreds of witnesses, but yet there are no witnesses.
You must go along with the official narrative.
Like, shameful. Out here executing us. I thought this is what it was all about.
Yeah, Ninja, we saw the videos. I mean, we actually showed the videos live when it was happening. We saw the dude that shot her, but he was wearing a mask and he had his back turned the most of the time. So, I mean, of course they know, but will we ever know? You know what I mean? Yeah, dude in a suit. I think he was, I don't know. I mean, could have been Secret Service or Capitol Police. We don't know yet.
It looked like Capitol Police. I saw a little bit of his face. He was wearing a mask. It looked like it could have been that Smith guy. But
it's possible that it was one of the police officers that committed suicide already. And if that's the case, then obviously he's never going to have an investigation or files charges against him.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming in and watching along with us for a little while. We will be back tomorrow. We might be on early. Our normal time's 3 o'clock, but we might start a little early because
I think we'll start it early tomorrow.
The impeachment, I believe, starts at 11 o'clock Central Time.
We'll make it an all-day affair.
We'll get at it. It's been interesting. Hopefully it gets more interesting tomorrow with the other side. We heard enough bullshit from this side for a couple days. And I mean, I could almost guarantee we're going to hear plenty of bullshit tomorrow too, but it's going to be interesting.
It should be a lot of humor. Should be plenty of fucking humor.
Yeah.
I almost wish Trump would get on the fucking stand just so we can hear him.
Me too. Like, it's wrong. You're wrong. I told everybody to be peaceful. I used the word peaceful. But oh my God, did you see how many people were at the rally? It was huge.
Yeah. Turnout was tremendous.
Big league.
Big. Very bigly. Sharon said, "Yay, I'll be watching." Appreciate it, Sharon. We'll be
all
here.
The words. I know all the words. I know the best words.
Did you hear my speech? It was stupendous. It was the biggest, most. Everybody loved it. Everybody I talked to said they loved the speech.
Everyone, clap for me. This is. I love it.
Did you see what they did because of my speech? Oh shit.
China.
Give me power.
China. Ask Joe Biden about China. I can't say China regular anymore. I have to say China.
Then, sir, you are a racist.
Why? Because I say China.
Believe me, if I wanted to incite a riot, it would be the best riot ever.
If I wanted to incite a riot, they'd still be rioting. It would be the biggest, most extravagant riot you've ever seen. Everybody would say, "This is the greatest riot I've ever seen." Trust me, I know.
I start all the riots. I know how to start all the best riots.
A very, very successful friend of mine, I won't say his name, but Jeb Bush called me. He said it was the greatest riot ever. Very bigly. All right, guys. Well, we will be back tomorrow. I hope you guys can come and join us again because this has been a hoot.
Yes.
Catch y'all later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay positive.
Peace.